Welcome to It Cracks Me Up, the daily show where we bring everyday items and throw it in your face. Today our guest is the Earth. Welcome, Earth. Earth.
Hello!
We are going to have an interview today with the Earth and find out some very important facts. Earth, we're glad we finally caught up with you. You always keep moving.
Yeah, well, between my continual orbiting and all the other pressures of the job, sometimes I feel like I'm just running in circles.
Lots of pressure being a planet, huh?
I can't speak for the other 8, but there's a lot of pressure being this particular planet. From my iron core to my rocky crust, I'm nothing but a big ball of heat and pressure. Sometimes I think I'm just gonna crack. But then I remember that's not possible because I'm already cracked.
What?
Well, my crust has been broken into huge slabs called tectonic plates. For as long as I can remember, and I have a very long memory, more than 4 billion years, the cracking happened as my surface cooled off after I was formed. You're standing on one right now, but don't worry. All plates are at least 43 miles thick.
That's pretty good because I'm pretty thick myself. You have a reputation for being so together. I'm puzzled how you could be in pieces.
Just goes to show you can't believe everything you see or hear. I look solid because those slabs together, excuse me, I got all excited. I'm saying it wrong. Because those slabs fit together so nicely. Well, except that they're moving.
Moving?
Yeah.
Are you sure? I don't feel anything.
Well, they're not moving very fast. Actually, your hair grows about 6 times as fast as my plates move.
Hair. I have
But
hair, thank you.
the plates drift along on the melted rock that makes up the most of my mantle, which is the next layer down from the crust.
But if these plates are drifting, how do they all stay together?
Well, that's the problem. They don't. They push together, pull apart, slide past each other because they're so huge, kind of like me, that some are so big that they're, I'm so excited I can't remember what I'm saying. Some of them are big enough to hold the whole continents. Their movement makes massive amounts of tension in the rocks deep inside me. It gives me a headache. The rocks stretch and bend and absorb the strain, and all of a sudden, I can't stand it anymore. And I snap. I release this tension all at once as a vibration. Invisible waves of energy come rolling in all directions, and when they reach the surface, you've got yourself an earthquake. And I feel so much calmer. But before you know it, the tension builds to mount again.
Earthquake, oh my goodness. Sounds like it can be tough on you. I'm so sorry. How often does this happen?
Oh, I lose count after a while. But scientists keep track of the surface, and some of them say earthquakes happen almost every second.
Wait a minute. We only hear about these earthquakes every once in a while. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at your pain.
But it's because the earthquakes never make the news. They're tiny tremors. You hear about the big ones that cause a lot of damage and destruction, and I take full responsibility. I know. It's all my fault. It's all my fault.
What do you mean all your fault? It can't be all your fault.
Well, because it's the faults. Faults are weak in my crust where earthquakes are likeliest to surface, where all that pent-up energy down below tries to escape. You find them mostly around the edges of my plates. I've got hundreds of thousands of faults, but hey, nobody's perfect.
What do faults look like?
Well, that depends. Those big jigsaw pieces move in different ways, and that affects the kind of force the rocks in my crust have to absorb. And that affects how a fault looks. Oh my Lord. I'm falling apart.
Bless your heart. Can you give me an example?
Sure, I'll give you some. Some plates move away from each other. They're called divergent plates. No, they're divergent plates. That kind of movement can wrench rocks apart, so rocks around the fault line are pushed down, creating valleys such as California's Death Valley. Then the mountain ridges can be formed on either side of this fault, called a normal fault.
Normal.
This type of movement can cause violent earthquakes. I'm really angry when this happens.
Well, what's another one?
It's called a reverse fault. It happens when the edges of plates that are moving toward each other oh my God.
That's called convergent.
Why,
I do remember.
Look, it's my body.
I read some of your
It is
history.
my body.
It's okay.
I know that it is a convergent plate, okay? Goodness gracious, I feel so attacked here. The plates collide and rocks above the fault surface are pushed over the rocks. On the other side, pieces of the crust pile up on each other and form mountains.
Well, not to point anything out here, but you did say there were 3.
Yep, I know what I said.
Good.
The third type are called strike-slip faults. This is very serious. One of my favorites, California's San Andreas Fault, is that kind. Strike-slip faults. They happen in places where plates slide by each other in opposite directions. Pretend you're running down the very narrow hallway on your way to class.
Honey, I don't run.
Excuse me. And sometimes someone else is running towards you. You scrape shoulders as you run past each other, and one or both of you get knocked sideways.
That's why I don't run.
That's why strike-slip faults make the earth move horizontally. These happen a lot, but they tend to be less dramatic.
Unlike you.
And you know that no matter the type of fault, all earthquakes are about energy, built up energy released as vibrations that move in waves up and out of the rocks in my crust. It's very traumatizing. They're as natural for me as breathing for you.
Well, natural or not, don't you wish you didn't have such a destructive side to you?
It's really kind of other people's faults. But earthquakes are destructive. Sometimes they're constructive. In other words, they don't just destroy land, they create land too.
How? And where?
Under the ocean, earthquakes can make cracks in the ocean floor where my crust is very thin. Hot magma comes seeping up. It gets cooler by the water and harden, and you have brand new land. It's actually really happy. I'm not upset. I'm just getting emotional. In fact, scientists know that what I've known all my life, Earth's crust is being created and destroyed at the same time.
It's okay.
And earthquakes have a lot to do with keeping that in balance.
Oh, and wait a minute. And volcanoes too?
Oh, Lord, they're a hot mess, sure. But that's another book altogether. I've got to get going. I'm feeling a little tense, and you never know when I'm gonna snap. Turn it off for me, please. I can't
Oh, my goodness. And thank you, people, for joining us today. And thank you, Earth, for sharing your misery with us. Welcome back to
I'm about to
reality.